I should say to both of you, congratulations. I'll start with you though, Vicki. I mean, taking on this role, one of the most significant in Australia. And of course, the pressure's now on you to prove that you can make Telstra grow faster in the future than it has in its recent past.
And Ross, thank you for that. It is incredibly exciting and such a privilege to serve as Telstra's next CEO. I would call out there is a 5-month transition, so Andy's not off the hook yet, but I am incredibly excited. I think it is such a privilege to get to lead Telstra through this next era, and it's been set up so wonderfully through the really transformational change under T22.
Andy and I have spoken a number of times about the need and the challenge to get Telstra to grow faster. In many ways, it is one of Australia's great technology stocks, but that's not acknowledged by the stock market, by many investors, because of many of the legacy assets that Telstra has got. What can you do to really make certain that those growth assets of Telstra come to the fore and really do start to drive that shareholder return?
Growth is a big part of our T25 strategy that we announced last September, and so we've already seen in our most recent results Telstra return to underlying EBITDA growth, and under our T25 ambitions we will look to grow the business even more strongly. And so I think what's so important for Telstra and where we're at the moment, you know, connectivity, it is so critical and it really underpins those digital aspirations for Australia and all of our customers. So how we continue to keep delivering for customers on the connectivity, but also the technology and services that sits around that to enable them to make the most of those benefits, whether it's big enterprises digitising their own benefits or as consumers making the most of those wonderful, innovative new services that are available. I think that sets us up well to really grow Telstra into the future.
So, Andy, Penn, if I can go to you and just ask, why is now the right time for you to leave Telstra?
Well, because you said it's my birthday today, Ross, so nothing like celebrating your birthday. But no, seriously, it's been an incredible journey. I've been the CEO for 7 years, and as Vicki says, I'll be stepping down later this year, so it'll be 7.5 years by then. You know, I think it's a great time. We've delivered on this transformation. We're a vastly different company today. We're in a very different place. There's some great opportunities ahead. And for me, it's the right time to hand over to Vicki. And I'm very passionate about a number of things, about digital leadership, technology innovation, cyber security, the arts, and I'm looking to make a contribution to those in a different capacity. And I want to do that when I'm young enough to be able to make that impact with the same level of energy that I've directed at Telstra.
So one thing that you and I have talked about a lot, and that is a lot of the legacy assets of Telstra, the assets that went to NBN Co, some of the other infrastructure assets that you've had, some of the towers and so forth, have either been sold or restructured out of Telstra to try and create not the annuity-style income streams that it has, but to try and create the growth that you've aspired to. Do you think there's a role in the future for big telecommunications companies like Telstra to actually own big chunks of infrastructure in Australia?
I think there is, Ross. I mean, it's a core part of our business, but I mean, as you've mentioned, the NBN, that was a massive restructure across the industry. That was a function of a government policy, and so we've been navigating through the impact of that over the last several years. And what was clear to me early in my tenure was that we were going to have to radically transform our business in response to that. Part of that was actually to separate the remaining infrastructure assets, which are very extensive, from our business operations on a day-to-day basis, but not to sell them completely, not to lose control of them. And as you know, we've kept 51% of our towers, and in fact we made an announcement yesterday, which is the next stage of the legal restructure, which will set up our fixed infrastructure assets in a separate business where we have the opportunity to look at monetisation and value creating opportunities again in the future. But you know, I do believe there's a role for us to continue to own and control those assets because they're important to the delivery of what is clearly the best telecommunications network in the country, but at the same time setting them up in such a way that we can also focus on the growth parts of the business that Vicki has already spoken to.
Vicki, I want to come back to you and just ask one question about that growth strategy. I mean, give me your vision, your dream, and I've asked Andy about this in the past, for what a telecommunications company will look like in the future, how we'll interact with it. I mean, with 6G, 5G even, there's going to be more telehealth, there's going to be more potential autonomous vehicles. All of this is going to come into the future, potentially under your stewardship of Telstra.
Yeah, and that's what excites me, Ross. I think about the services we provide today, that core connectivity, and I look out, you look a decade ahead, there is so much opportunity ahead, as you spoke to, things like 5G and 6G to come, everything being connected. It will be an entirely different world. And I think Telstra is in such a great position because a lot of that technology is fragmented in many ways, and so I think we can play such an important role in helping to bring that together for our customers to really enable them to make the most out of what is, I think, a very exciting future. There is incredible opportunity ahead for Australia, for our customers, and I think Telstra can play a really important role in that.
Well, Vicki Brady, the incoming Chief Executive of Telstra, and Andy Penn, for 5 months, the Chief Executive of Telstra, to both of you. Thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks, Ross.
Thanks, Ross.